Here with head coach Rob Talley heading into senior day, week 9, tomorrow against Pace. Coach, last week, another come from behind win, defeating LIU Post 38-28. Just overall reactions from the game, since you've had a chance to look at film and whatnot, and
Well, I think the biggest thing with the film and after we went back and looked at it, it wasn't a matter of us not taking Pace Post seriously enough, or us playing down to them. I think we just played really tight. I think on both sides of the ball, particularly on offense, where we worried about making mistakes as opposed to making plays, and I think that's what's going to happen a little bit when you have a young team that's really not used to being in that situation, that game that they're expected to win and expected to win versus a good team. So it was good to get the victory. That's first and foremost, and I think especially in the second half, we really felt we had control of the game. It was just we weren't able to put them away, but we came in with the victory. Gave us a lot of stuff to learn from, and now we kind of have to apply that going into this week.
Does that become the biggest obstacle here heading in to the last couple of weeks here with so much on the line and stuff like that, worrying about the guys being tight and keeping them relaxed a little bit?
Well, I think we have to try to do what we can from a coaching standpoint, to try to loosen them up, try to get some plays where they don't have to think a lot about early in the game, to try to put them in that situation, and then also just realize that we play some really good football teams, and Pace is hasn't won a game this year, but they've really battled some people, and I really like what they're doing on the offensive side and defensive side, and they have some pretty good players. I mean, their tailback is probably one of the better tailbacks in the league. So, and I believe they're gonna have their freshman quarterback back that's been injured the last couple of games. That is a dual purpose type of kid that we've struggled with during the season. So, I think we're gonna have a handful, and we're gonna have to be ready to play tomorrow.
Some stand-up performances from Saturday. Nate Morris, Defensive Player of the Week in the league, 2 interceptions. We kind of talked about Saturday a little bit, how he's developed, and now is one of your impact players leading the conference now in interceptions.
I think it was good to see Nate. He worked so hard. He had a hamstring injury over preseason that set him back a little bit, but he's really finding his stride, and he's always around football. To me, when you're around football, good things happen. So, he's really earned what he's gotten so far, and it's good to see him have that success.
He had 2 interceptions. Your defense had 4 on the day. You continue to lead the conference in takeaways, up there and plus minus. Talk about how that's really been able to set you guys up successfully this year.
Well, I think when you look at the overall season, because when you look at it statistically, we're probably middle of the road offensively, we're middle of the road defensively. We're probably giving up a little more defensively than we'd like to give up. But it's the turnovers that make a big difference. You put turnovers and penalties into that equation, I think that's why we've been able to be successful. So, and once again, we're playing a lot of guys, young guys up front on both sides of the football. So you're going to have a little bit of that. But I'm expecting us to get better as the year goes, and and keep on getting those turnovers, which we need. We definitely needed to help out our offense and put us in great field position, and also keep the other offense off the field.
Nate Robert Talley was Offensive Player of the Week in the league. Probably, and I'm sure he'd be the first to admit that one of the not a very good first quarter, but really was able to stay in the game and turn it around and really put up some big numbers.
He's a real good player for us. I mean, he's just going to make plays. I gave him a hard time saying I definitely need to submit his name to the conference for voting, because we didn't necessarily feel he played his best game. So, and I think we can say that, and he had 10 catches for over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns. So if we're saying he didn't play his best game, I really think there's so much more that he's going to be able to do before his time's done. So, obviously an outstanding player. He gives you it all. He gives you great effort. I think when he continually keep on learning how to be a really good receiver, he's going to be a force in this conference.
Colin Mark is over 200 yards. First time in 2 years you've had a 200-yard rusher. I mean, obviously had the big run at the end, but really provided that steady go early on for you guys.
The great thing about when I looked down at the stat sheet at the end of the game and saw he had overturned it, I was almost surprised. And it's because I think he gets a lot of the hard yards where he's making people miss and getting 2 or 3 extra yards. Where he can, once he gets in the secondary, He's a slippery guy. So he can definitely get out some tackles, make people miss an open field, and we're excited. Especially with Jamal Johnson was having a great year. Him being sidelined by an injury the last 2 games, that Colin was able to step up the way he did.
Tomorrow's senior day. You have 18 guys potentially certainly playing their last regular season home game. One of probably the last couple of home games if all things go well. Talk about the senior class. Certainly was a rough start for them, with the loss of a teammate, which will also be recognized tomorrow. But how they've grown up and what they've meant to your team.
But I think when you look at senior class, the guys that are playing for us played a lot really early, so that they've all contributed something, and they've had a bunch of adversity to go through, whether it be injuries, whether losing a teammate, and as a freshman, that's really a hard deal to try to deal with. Yeah, you're trying to deal with college, and you lose a teammate that you just never that we didn't really see coming. You just didn't see it coming. So I think by that standpoint, they've been through a lot, and it's really brought them closer together as a group and brought this team closer together. And so I think that's really put them in great position. That's why he's so happy for a group like that, because they've stayed the course, and we've been in a bunch of really close games the last couple of years, games that could have gone our way that we weren't able to come away with, that they had to suffer with those defeats, and I think they've just learned from it, where they just go on to the next play, and that's why we've been a good team that's been able to come back from being down, because our players don't worry about it. They just worry about the next play. So it's a great group of guys. They're all contributing one way or another, whether it's on the field on game day, whether it's in practice. Very, very selfless group. If you need someone to jump up on scout team, they're just jumping up. So really excited for them. I'm definitely gonna hate to see them go, and hopefully it's not gonna be that last home game here.
Like we mentioned with Henry, the senior that won't be here, who we all wish was certain amount, but he'll be there in spirit. Talk about kind of the plans for him tomorrow and how we're going to remember him.
Well, I think the biggest thing, every day when we go by Henry's locker room, and I think even the freshmen are getting an idea of exactly how much he meant to this program. Whether it be the charms that a lot of guys or the bracelets guys are wearing around their wrists. So he's definitely with us, and it's kind of crazy to think that he would have been a senior this year. Such how quickly time flies, and you think about how much of an impact he could have had, but also how much of an impact he did have. Even not being here. So we're going to recognize him. We're going to get his family's going to be in attendance. They're going to come down and field pregame. We'll recognize them, and then Jamal Johnson was one of Henry's closest friends. Is going to wear Henry's jersey for the game. So it'll be good it'll be great to get number 91 back out on the field again.
So let's move forward tomorrow with pace. Like you mentioned, certainly haven't had a win yet, but showing a lot of promise, playing a ton of freshmen, sophomores. So you've been in that position a couple of years ago, and maybe even still with this case. But talk about what they.
Well, the biggest thing with pace, and I'm not really necessarily happy with this, but their last 2 wins have come against us. Come against Stonehill. So that was the first thing I talked to the team about on Sunday. Is to me, in no way can take them light, because they've shown in the past that they can beat us, if we don't play as well as we're capable of. So, but they're doing a good job. I think the biggest thing with them, they lead the league in time of possession. So, offensively, they're really doing some good things, and I think defensively they're doing some different things there scheme-wise that can cause some problems. So. We'll definitely have our hands full. Obviously, we're going to worry about us and how we execute, but we have to come ready to play, because, as I said, offensively, they're one of the best backs in the league, and a young group of receivers, and if that quarterback's back, that poses a run pass option too for them as well. So we're excited about it. We're excited to get back on the field. We're excited about the opportunity, to play this game, and we want to make sure we take advantage of that opportunity.
first NCAA regional poll came out this week. Certainly, it's the first, so put the importance in what you want, but it's also the first of the program to be recognized in that poll and the opportunities that potentially come about because of it. Talk about the approach with the team and, the excitement that's building around, continues to build here week to week, that, there's a tomorrow, potentially clinched and, quite a bit of future ahead on this team.
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I was on the regional committee a few years ago, and so one thing I saw firsthand how quickly things can change. So very little room for error. I'm happy. I'm excited that we were on it, that we were recognized, and probably even more important, I'm happy that someone in our league was. I think it's important for us, and we've talked about it as a league, to make sure we're represented. We're represented in the playoffs. So I think that's a big step. But it winds up coming back to, if we don't win this weekend, then the regional rankings, they don't mean anything. So that's where our focus has to be. If ideally we keep on winning, then hopefully you stay in the rankings. But there have been people that have won and then fallen out of the rankings. So, it's nice and it's great for the program. I think it shows, how far we've come. But that wasn't our goal, to get in the in the regional rankings. That's not our end all goal. Not at this point in the season. So we're just going to keep on pushing forward, and we really want to try to win the conference, and Pace is the next step to try to conquer.
All right, Coach. Well, congratulations on the ranking and the season so far, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.